Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Right now, very happy to have back on the show Representative Judy Chu, a Democrat representing California's 28th District. She serves on the Ways and Means Committee and is back in her district in California, which is fighting the horrific fires that we're seeing across the nation on our TV screens. Representative Chu, thanks so much for making time. I know it's a difficult, very challenging time for yourself and the people in your district and the entire area of the LA County. So thanks for being on.
Yes, thank you
So
for having me.
So you were just telling me right before we started that you were on a tour. What can you share firsthand? What have you seen?
I represent the cities of Pasadena and the area of Altadena.
Oh,
These are the primary areas that have been devastated by the Eaton fire. And I took a tour of the area yesterday. The FEMA administrator came in from Washington, D.C., and we wanted to see the destruction that was occurring. What I saw just was truly devastating. I mean, and sobering. I cannot erase these memories from my mind, which is blocks and blocks of homes burned to the ground. In Altadena, in particular,
yeah.
the problem was very immense, where you had so many homes that had just been reduced to ash within a day. And but then going down the main institutions of Altadena and Pasadena, we went by the Altadena Country Club, totally burned down. And I'd been there for so many times for so many events.
Hmm.
Uh, the Altadena Community Church, the Pasadena Jewish Temple, the Majid Mosque, all burned down to a crisp. And there was a very thriving small business area, the Mariposa Junction, which had many mom and pops and
Hmm.
people truly enjoyed, all burned down. So people are stunned. People are just not knowing what to do, and uh, they are happy that they have their lives. I mean, I
Right.
have to say they obeyed the evacuation orders. They got out of there. As a result, the deaths were minimized, but I have to tell you, there were also 4 deaths in our area. And actually, that's only the tip of the iceberg because they have to
Yeah.
go with cadaver dogs through the
Hmm.
different burn sites. But yes, there are 5,000 structures in my area that have been burned. And that's probably a low number. I think the numbers will increase in the coming days.
I saw images of Altadena specifically that was dystopian. It looked like something out of a movie. Instead, it's
Yeah,
real life. Just entire neighborhoods gone. And have you ever seen this level of devastation in this area before?
never. This is without precedent. This is the confluence of two unprecedented events. One was the Santa Ana winds. Now,
Hmm.
the winds themselves, they have done damage and have been very extreme, but they were extreme again at 80 miles per hour. And there was the fire. So the fire spread so quickly because of the winds. And as a result, the embers from the fire traveled 2 or 3 miles. That's how the fire spread so quickly. And in places like Hastings Ranch in Pasadena, it was so strange because you would see one house totally burned down to the ground and the next house totally preserved. It was a question of where the embers landed.
It's like tornadoes in a way, where you see that. I mean, they call it the finger of God, but the idea of like it just goes very specific. Was there also a situation with drought or lack of rain for an extended period of time that also contributed?
Yes, we've had dry weather and there was so much vegetation here, and that did contribute to this because we've had a drought condition for a while.
And I'm chatting with Representative Judy Chu, representing California's 28th district, which is right Altadena area, which is really ground zero from what we're seeing a lot in the coverage here. I'm in Manhattan, and we're seeing it here on the East Coast. Is there a sense about containment? I've seen different things: 8% contained, 10% contained. Anything you can update us on the fire by you?
We are hopeful that this will be contained because today we finally got a percentage. It's 3%, but that is a start. And also, we know that the fire has not gone further south.
Hmm.
Instead, it's going north into the mountain areas. In fact, the Mount Wilson Observatory is in danger, but firefighters feel that they can contain the fire and stop it from going there. This observatory is very important because our main communication towers are there.
Oh,
Yeah.
and when they say containment, because I've never dealt with a situation with wildfires or for large fires like this, does that just obviously 100% containment? We understand what that means,
Mhm.
but what is 3%, 10% containment? What is just a sense of the metric? How do they get to that?
They define it as the fire isn't going beyond a certain line.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the fire may be smoldering in a certain area, but if it's not going any further and not spreading, then it's contained.
And that's very helpful, and I appreciate that. I don't want to get into politics at all, but does it make it more difficult when you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk as well, who's almost like a junior president, spreading misinformation over and over? I mean, about it, misleading people who are seeing what's going on and they're living there through this fire zone.
It is just not a time to play politics like this. Yeah, he has been spreading this misinformation that there was not enough water because Governor Newsom wanted to cut off the water by protecting the Delta in Northern California. And that's it's not related. It's not related at all. I just really hope that President-elect Trump um, sees himself as a person for all the people. Wildfires don't have political affiliations, they don't belong to a political party. People of all political persuasions are being negatively affected by this, their lives are being devastated. And I hope Trump does the right thing and maintains the money for disaster assistance.
How has the FEMA and federal response been so far to the fires?
They have been incredible. And I have to say that President Biden worked overtime in terms of making the disaster declaration right away. As a result, they responded to California's request to be declared a recipient of the federal emergency management grants.
Hmm.
And so that means that we will be reimbursed for our firefighting expenses. And normally it's at a 75% level, but President Biden just announced that it'll be at a 100% level for our fires.
And do they have I mean, are there federal resources in terms of actual, if it might be planes or resources to actually fight the fire itself?
That's the other great thing that happened. He sent over large tank airplanes
Hmm.
as well as these heavy duty helicopters that can release a lot of water and fire retardant. So, yes, the more heavy duty types of aerial equipment have been sent forth. And also, he did send over the FEMA administrator. So I toured with her yesterday,
Hmm.
and also the National Guard has come. And so we have like 400 of them in our area. It really helps with the management of this area.
Certainly. And just to clarify, you mentioned Donald Trump and his information about, oh, they don't have enough water. Is there a water shortage to fight this fire?
There is not a water shortage. I've been assured
Hmm.
by our firefighters that there is enough water. Now, at the beginning, there was a shortage because the fire came down so suddenly. It was so overwhelming. And there had to be a reduction in the electricity for the pumps that operate the water. Uh, on top of that, so many firefighters were using hydrants all at the same time.
Hmm.
And so it put a tremendous pressure on our water system. So the pressure was lower than normal, but now it's normalized. And yes, I am assured that there is enough.
No, and I just want you to clarify that because that's something we just see in the media on the right, and transcends that, and then we end up seeing it ourselves. I know they're trying to contain the fire right now. If people have lost their homes and don't have insurance, because I saw news stories about people who didn't have their insurance anymore. Is there an opportunity or a chance that FEMA provides any kind of assistance financially to rebuild?
The administrator assured me that they would do their best. Now, what they are encouraging everybody to do is to go to the website disasterassistance.gov
Okay.
and then start filling in the information. This is how the process gets started. And what they do want is your information on the insurance coverage that you do have, because then FEMA will pay for the things that insurance will not cover. But then, of
Oh,
course, there are those who may not have any insurance.
I know.
And what FEMA does is any creative uh, method possible to get help to those individuals. So it's not that they turn you away; they just try to work with you to get the resources that they can.
Do you feel confident with the Republicans now having the House and the Senate and then Donald Trump being sworn in, they will ensure that the resources that are there for California? Because we all know there's a disdain for blue states by certain people in the Republican Party, and it's outrageous. We're no longer the United States of America in the eyes of some of them.
Well, so many people have been devastated by this fire. I think there'd be tremendous outrage, including from Trump's party. You know,
Hmm.
people need help. They have just lost the memories that come with their house. They've lost their quality of life. They don't know where to turn next. And they need help in this, the most devastating fire that we've ever had in California. Um, Also, though, I'm going to do outreach. I'm actually going to ask Speaker Johnson to come
Hmm.
and tour the disaster zone himself so he can see how devastating it is.
And I hope that makes a difference. I
Yeah.
mean, it used to be when there was any kind of national emergency like this, the people on both parties didn't matter. We'd help out. There was a handful of people who didn't want to spend money. I got it on the right, but overwhelmingly, it was not an issue. And I hope for going forward. I know the fire's still going on. That's the one priority. But a lot of people have this question about how do we prevent this from happening in the future? This is unprecedented in the devastation. But obviously, we see California fires all the
Mhm.
time. Is it just part of climate change? Is drier situations for a longer period of time? Is there anything that can be done to reduce this risk?
Well, I think Mount Wilson Observatory is a good example. In the previous fire that we had, the fire came very close to burning that observatory, which would have devastated the communication system here in Southern California for our networks and radio. Um, but then they used the bipartisan infrastructure bill to create barriers. And
Hmm.
so they created a fire lane all around the observatory. They had uh, chips and things that they laid to prevent the fire from coming closer. And so I've just been kind of amazed because the firefighters feel pretty confident that they will save Mount Wilson Observatory with these measures.
So there are measures that can be done that are preventative in terms of the fire itself. But overall, is the main cause of this climate change? I mean, is that fair to say?
Climate change is indeed aggravating the situation. And we have these kind of like wet, dry situations. And of course, we're getting drier and drier. And as our climate gets hotter and hotter in this world and in California, but then sometimes we will have extreme rain.
Right.
And so having this cycle here is what is causing these extreme disastrous events.
Yes. California, you go through a lot in California. If it wasn't such a nice state, I don't know if everyone would live there as many people that do. I mean, it's a great state to visit, but it has a lot of challenges. Um, the last two quick things, Donald Trump gets sworn in on January 20th. What are the priorities of the House Democrats going forward with Republican controlled House and Senate and White House now?
Well, we are the ones that are going to have to um, present the alternatives that will make American people's lives better. I
Hmm.
think they need to know that there are alternatives that will make sure that we have a stronger middle class, that will give them hope for the future, that will let people feel that they can afford the kinds of expenses that they have. I mean, we have to reduce the cost of things. We also have to make sure that people can make ends meet. I want to make sure that they know that we have the child tax credit, which has been used so successfully to reduce poverty, and that we did increase it during the COVID pandemic,
Hmm.
which helped so many families, but then it expired. That increase expired. We also have the earned income tax credit, which helps working families, and we were able to increase that temporarily also. So these are programs that can really help people. And I want to make sure we continue to reduce the price of prescription drugs. I mean, this is one of the leading causes of bankruptcy for American families. And we started on this
Hmm.
with our Inflation Reduction Act, but I'm really concerned about President-elect Trump stopping this whole process.
And the impact of his tariffs are truly inflationary if it actually gets imposed the way he's saying it. And very last
Yeah.
thing again, what's the website if people are listening there in California and they want to get more information from FEMA? You mentioned it earlier.
Disasterassistance.gov.
Disasterassistance.gov. So if you have questions about FEMA and the resources and the help that you need, go to the disasterassistance.gov. Representative Chu, thank you for taking time. I know you're in between going out in your district and doing things, but it's a great opportunity to share with people listening who live in California if they haven't heard from you exactly what's going on. So thanks, Representative. Nice chatting with you.